Good morning, all. Welcome to our session. We're just going to give a couple of minutes. We won't delay too long to get started, but yeah, good to see so many of you here. Yeah, see, we've hit 30 people now, so I'll probably look to get started. First of all, I just want to let people know that this session is being recorded, and we will be putting the video up probably on our YouTube channel. So if you'd like to turn your cameras off, then that's absolutely fine. Just to let you know that you may appear on the recording. And let's get started. So, Gwella'r, croeso, welcome to our show and tell on the digital planning project within CDPS. Just like to start by saying if you do have any questions at any time, please pop them in the chat, and we'll have plenty of time at the end to run through those questions and hopefully give you some answers. And so we will get started. So I just wanted to start up with a very brief show of the people currently working as part of the multidisciplinary team on the project. So my name is Ed Can. I'm the delivery manager, and I'll be first. And yeah, you should see most of these people speaking today as we go through. And then I'd like to give a little bit of background on the project and the work that we've been doing. So, as you might be aware, the First Minister, Elena Morgan, made a clear commitment to speed up decision-making in the planning process in her September 2024 statement to the Senedd on the priorities for the remainder of this Senedd term. So our work with the Welsh Government's Planning Division is part of the Government's commitment to service delivery. Our long-term aims and objectives for the project that were outlined along with Welsh Government are to improve the long-term efficiency and sustainability of the digital planning system in Wales. And we're looking to achieve that by, in many ways, by reducing the time and effort required for both applicants and planning officers, by standardising planning practices and processes across Wales, improving the digital services used in the planning application and assessment processes, collaborating and sharing best practice across the sector, and enhanced operational efficiencies to reduce the burden on the sector. So the first phases of the project were very much an information gathering pre-discovery phase and then a user-centered discovery phase. So to briefly go through some of those, in our pre-discovery, we tried to learn as much as we could about the sector by meeting with digital and planning experts and stakeholders across Wales and the UK to gather insights into the landscape before moving on to the more user-centered discovery phase to dig in a bit deeper. In keeping with the digital service standard for Wales, it was important to understand the users and their needs. So a big part of discovery was speaking to those users of the planning system, householders and agents, and understanding their experiences and any barriers or unmet needs that they had. And so we did that by carrying out stakeholder and subject matter expert interviews, meeting with senior planners, planning officers, and other planning subject matter experts to better understand the current challenges and barriers within the planning. And this helped us to kind of focus the scope of the discovery phase. And then performing usability testing, so getting non-planners to test the current online planning application journey. And then also carrying out user interviews, so meeting with agents and householders to understand their experiences of the planning application process, any barriers that they faced, and any unmet needs. And the one big thing that came out of that discovery phase was that pre-application leads to a smoother application within planning service. And because the other thing that came out of that was that the planning service is a very large piece of work, we had to start somewhere, and so that was why the focus for the alpha phase was actually on that pre-application advice service.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, so if we take a look then at the alpha phase specifically, it was clear, as Ed said, that from pre-discovery and discovery phases, that the pre-application advice service was the right place to start for this prototyping phase. And the scope of our project was specifically to focus on the pre-application advice service for the householder user journey. And this was to ensure that outcomes of the project would be scalable across Wales, flexible to the specific service delivery needs of the local planning authorities, and allow the resulting MVP ideation and definition to be achievable to a high standard by a multidisciplinary team, which is quite small. The insights and learnings from the pre-application service work throughout Alpha were also very relevant to the broader user journey for applying for planning permission, and the pre-application could help identify the challenges, pain points, and the barriers of the broader journey as well. So the aims and objectives from project inception were to understand the end-to-end application process for pre-app, understand the pre-application to full application pipeline, and understand the needs of the LPA teams, local planning association teams, and applicants to understand the pain points inherent to the process before we could then move on to the prototyping and defining a minimum viable ideation definition phase to address the identified pain points. Our approach was to gain the policy understanding, meet with partner LPA teams for interviews, generate partner-specific as-is processes to understand how they really work now, conduct user research, analyse partner data and metrics for the testing purposes to come, and allow us to then prototype and perform usability tests and measure against. The way we worked throughout the project with partners was full-day workshops at each of their LPA offices in person, and this allowed us to explore all aspects of their service in a room, great quality conversations with them, and we could really start to build up the as-is process. And throughout the entire project, what we did was to conduct regular check-in sessions and exploration sessions fortnightly across Microsoft Teams with the authorities across Wales that we worked with. And we also built in monthly sessions with the 3 partner authorities combined. We also had regular meetings with the Planning Policy Directorate of Welsh Gov, and also an in-person workshop to validate our understanding of the government policy and guidance, the future strategy and opportunities across planning services, and to provide updates to the Welsh Government on the progress made and our planned steps ahead. All of these helped to keep really good alignment between all stakeholder groups that we were working with. So from that research and exploration phase with local planning authorities, householders and Welsh Government, we then used those conversations and insights to generate target outcomes. And this was to ensure that our delivery remained on course throughout. And from these conversations, we also saw themes emerge in the types of outcomes that each group felt was needed for this project. So, for example, some of those target outcomes across all groups were that better quality pre-application submissions needed to be achieved, and that the reduction in processing times needed to be achieved from the project outputs. We could then use these target outcomes to create hypotheses to help ideate and design prototype solutions against and measure the impact of the solutions when usability testing. The 7 main areas where they theme together across the hypotheses are on screen there, and it was awareness, understanding, findability, value, design, consistency, and capacity.
Thanks, Rob. Hi everyone, I'm Bernie, I'm the service designer on the team. To be truly user-centric, we need to know that our users and service operators are experiencing on the service. From the early rounds of research, we came away with these key findings. Household awareness and understanding of pre-application advice service is low. They find planning content complex and unclear, and need support to navigate and use digital planning services. Householders struggle to know what to submit to make an application valid. We're here to improve the long-term efficiency and sustainability of the digital planning system in Wales. The applicant's experience of the service is very important, but how do we also support the service providers themselves? When talking to the planning team staff in our partner local planning authorities, we found that they spend a lot of time resolving applicant issues, and that processes, pre-application guidance and content vary across local planning authorities. These key findings from both applicants and planning staff guided the development of our design and recommendations. As mentioned in our approach, we joined our 3 partner local planning authorities in their offices to gain an understanding of the current or as-is state of the service. This includes mapping internal processes, the teams responsible and the systems they use, challenges and pain points faced by the teams, data and policy that is used in these steps. These were then aligned with the householder's steps in the journey to get a total view of the end-to-end process. This is called a service blueprint. Here on the left, you can see 3 service blueprints, one of each partner local planning authority, and this was merged to create a wider view, identifying the overlapping and unique features to find areas where we can enhance the journey for householders and local planning authority staff alike. As you just saw, the service maps can be complex, so to make it easier to design and talk about as it is scaled across local planning authorities, we define the phases and steps of the householder's journey. When we talk to you about this service or create any outputs, these are the phases and steps we'll refer to. Once the opportunities for enhancement were found across the service, we identified the user's journey and the content on local planning authority websites as a key area to develop and test. This screen shows a set of service patterns creating user's journey from arriving on the planning pages of the local planning authority's website to completing an online form to apply for the pre-application advice service. It's been created at a zoomed out level, which means it can be scaled and applied to all pre-application advice services across the local planning authorities. This is part of the journey that we turned into a prototype to test our hypotheses to create the best outcomes.
Hi all, I'm Alex and I'm the junior user centre designer on the team. So based on this user journey, we created a high fidelity clickable prototype on Figma for the pre-application service. And we informed our design through our engagement with partners, planning professionals, and through some user testing as well. So we styled our design to look like a generic council website for our favourite fictional county, Pontypandy, which for those of you that don't know is where Fireman Sam lives. It represents our ideal pre-application web journey, and the idea is that in sharing this prototype, planning authorities in Wales can adapt its content for use on their own websites to improve their own pre-application services for their specific regions and unique needs that come along with that. So we included the findings from our prototype testing in our report on the alpha phase of this project, which was shared with our partners too. Sorry, my voice is going. So here you can see that we iterated our design bilingually through 5 versions, and we tested these iterations with users over 3 rounds of usability testing, which included 13 householders and 3 agents. Meaning professionals in the industry who apply for planning permission on behalf of their clients. And we based each stage of this design iteration on what users told us through feedback and feedback from our partners as well. And by engaging with our users, each version made the process of getting planning advice clearer and easier to follow.
Hello, I'm Claire. I'm the content designer on the project. For this prototype, we focused on householders, and they told us that digital planning services were hard to use. So we designed and tested a dedicated route through the website just for them. It's separate from other types of planning, and this makes it easier for them to find what they need, and it also helps reduce the number of basic queries to planning teams. So the prototype includes 3 bilingual content for 3 main web pages: how to apply, check if you need planning permission, and get advice before you apply. And it also includes an online form to apply for pre-application advice, and then email templates for sending updates. And all these are available on our website for you to use. We'll share the link later on. And I'm just going to click out and show you the prototype. Just going to share my window. There you go. Okay. So if you've got any questions or comments while I show the prototype, please feel free to type them in the chat. So we structured the content to make it easier to read and understand. We explain planning terms in plain language, or we link to trusted sources. Every page follows best practice and can be adapted for different LPAs. So how to apply for householder planning permission. Householders only use the service once or twice, so they may not know where to start or what they need to do. So we made the process simpler by breaking it down into clear steps. This helps them feel more confident when applying, and it also means fewer queries for planning teams and more time to assess applications. So on to check if you need planning permission. The current service uses jargon and complex language that people find confusing. So we rewrote the content in plain language and explained each step clearly. This makes the service easier to understand and builds trust. And we also added contact details in a clear and consistent, easy to access format for people that might need more help. And then get advice before you apply. Many people don't know about the pre-application service, so we explain what it is and what it costs and what they need to do. This helps them understand the value and what to expect. Right, next we're going to look at the online form to apply for pre-application. And so people often feel overwhelmed by how many documents they need to submit. So the start page shows what they need, how long the form takes to fill in, and what to expect before they start. So I'm going to move through the screens now to get to the proposal details page. Here we go. So users found that PDF forms are hard to use because they're not accessible. And a tested digital form that meets accessibility standards is easier for users, and it reduces admin for planning teams. So this form uses a simple design, and it only shows the questions that the user needs based on what's selected. And also a character limit supports better responses. I'm just going to move on to the summary. So by including a summary screen, users can review and change their answers before they submit, and this reduces mistakes and improves the quality of applications. The confirmation page tells users what happens next and when to expect a response, and this builds trust and reduces the follow-up calls and emails. And then here's an example of an email update. So people told us that they often don't hear back and feel frustrated. So automated emails confirm their application has been received, and it explains what happens next. This helps manage expectations and reassures users. Okay, I'm now going to stop sharing the prototype and go back to the presentation. Okay, so to help more people use the pre-application advice service and improve the quality of applications, focus should be on a dedicated journey for householders, making it easy to find and use, providing simple and accessible content, and then making sure it's easy to contact the team. Focus for planning teams should be on cutting down admin for everyone, collecting data consistently, and improving the quality of applications. And the focus for everyone should be raising awareness of the service and its benefits, building public trust in the planning system, and showing how the service adds value. And I'm now going to pass on to Ed. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. As Claire showed, that prototype that we put in front of people, we found that tested really well with householders and agents. And so here are some of our key findings that we got from them. So firstly, and probably most importantly, they found it clear and easy to use, which improved their understanding of the service. We also found out that they did want to self-serve if they can, and having the information available to them reduced their need to try and contact planning departments. The users wanted clear, familiar language with no jargon, so having that plain language really helped them. And another big finding was that costs and timescales are very important to users, and they want that information up front. So they want to know what they're going to have to pay, and how long things are likely to take as soon as possible. And also when they do come around to time to pay, that they want to pay online. Users expect to be able to pay online in this day and age, and that wasn't always the case with the local planning authorities. And finally, that users want that clearer, more consistent communication from local planning authorities, and where those automated emails could really provide value is just making sure that they're kept up to date with the progress as things move through the system. So in short, the users found the prototypes to be an improvement on the current web content and forms and the communications that they had experienced going through the system. So what are the next steps? Well, we've already shared, as we mentioned previously, already shared the Alpha report and our recommendations with the local planning authority partners that we worked with, and also with the Strategic Advisory Group for Digital Planning in Wales. And we've had some feedback on those, which we've taken into consideration as well. We've generated an executive summary of that report and the recommendations, which we're making available on the CDPS website, which I believe the link is in the chat if anybody would like to take a look at that. We've also begun workshops with our local planning authority partners and offered them kind of personalised suggestions based on our findings and provided them with all the artifacts, the prototype, etc., for them to use as they wish. And we're now looking forward to future phases of work, some of which have already begun. And we're focusing on areas where we can deliver tangible benefits within the current year. So we've already started work on some of the work streams and covering a variety of areas, such as data, where we're learning what data is and isn't being collected in order to help standardise it across Wales. We're looking at skills and capabilities and looking into what training would be most beneficial to local planning authorities and how it could best be delivered. And we're also taking a wider view of the end-to-end user journey to help identify some pain points for users and working with local planning authorities to smooth out that process. And we're very keen to hear from and work with local planning authorities across Wales to ensure that the work we do provides the most benefit to LPAs and end users alike. So diolch and thank you very much for your time. We will now be going through and answering some questions from the chat, or if you have anything that you'd like to ask, then please raise your hand. We've also put on screen, and I believe will be added to chat as well, email address that you can contact us via if you have any questions or would like to stay informed about the project, or to help take part and improve the planning services in your area and across Wales. And finally, as I mentioned, that CDPS website link should be available in the chat as well, where you can see the project page, blog posts, and all the information around the digital planning project that we've been working on. So thank you very much. And do you have any questions? I'll just sharing and go and have a look at the chat. So please raise your hand if you have any questions. We're more than happy to dig into anything that we've worked on, or any comments at all or feedback on the work we've done. Oh, Harriet, you've got in there first.
Thanks, Ed, and everyone. That was really clear. You know, it's very straightforward. Can see the ambition, can see the approach, can see hopefully those solutions. That's great. And my question is really, it's kind of probably slightly a side question, because we recently did a show and tell on our work on service patterns and developing commonly usable user journeys through common services that could potentially, service owners could adopt and simplify their service user journeys in the way that you are describing here, that you've done with planning. And I'm just wondering if there's any read across between these user journeys that you're developing and the kind of user journeys that we are thinking, well, we can create some standard ones that people can adopt. Because there seem to be similarities between, not surprisingly, between the user journeys that you're developing here.
Just going to pause in case anyone. Bernie, you'd like to answer that one, wouldn't you? I thought so.
That's okay. Yeah, we're working closely with the team who are developing the service patterns. Obviously, because we're having to work at different levels. But as you saw earlier, some of the graphics that we've used are actually some of the graphics that the team have done. So obviously, we are focused on planning services, but it would be a waste of energy to not, when working with the local authorities, to not mention and try and work that. So I think we're hoping to work in a really supportive and collaborative way in this next phase, and why wouldn't you reuse and use the service patterns in that way? So yeah, we are aware where it fits in the apply, the register and the pay patterns already developed. So yeah, we're trying to work collaboratively, and it's just about finding some people and working with some people in that way and moving forward with it. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, and I'm sure there's stuff from that you're developing that also can feed into that wider set of standard patterns that we can use for services too. So your work will feed into that too, vice versa, I'm guessing.
That's the intention. Yeah. I say we're sharing and working on that, as I say, because of the level that it's working at is a lot of what they've got kind of is already formed. But as we're discussing and seeing how we can develop that and make it work better. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think I just seen that Mike's posted a link to the service patterns information in the chat as well, if anybody would like to dig into that in any more depth as well. Also, we've got a question from Diola in the chat. So thank you for that. How do you plan to roll this out to local authorities? And Rob's got his hand up already, so I'll pass that one to you.
Thanks for that question, Diola. So yeah, essentially the call to action from this is really to really increase that engagement with up to 25 LPAs across Wales. We want to continue to test the alpha phase prototype, but also to really understand what problems and difficulties and barriers are experienced across the 25 local planning authorities in Wales. So we really want people to reach out to us if they've got any interest in getting involved, testing out some of the designs that we've made, see how it compares with their services, and really just start to build a bit of a community of local planning authorities to help and support each other and to help drive this change for the better. So please reach out to us.
Thank you, Rob. And on that front as well, I did see that Edwin has posted a link to I think it's the sign-up form where you can actually go onto our website and fill out your details and get added to receive updates about the work that we're doing within planning on a regular basis. Philippa, I see you've got your hand up. Would you like to ask a question?
Thanks, Ed. What's your biggest learning from this this phase of the work that you've taken away?
That's a big question. I see. Oh, Rob, you've got your hand up. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest learning, it may not be of any surprise, but it's the immense pressure that planning authorities are under across Wales. Funding and resources is a common theme across public sector. But hopefully this is where this alpha phase and the future phases of work can really help. So I really want to stress the importance of helping us to develop this further in order to overcome some of the challenges that are seen everywhere. So I think that's the biggest learning for me. I'm not sure if any of the other team want to chip in.
Yeah, I would add to that is that planning is an incredibly complicated system, and just being able to reduce the burden on these, as you say, kind of very, very busy departments, and free up their time so that they can really focus on what they need to get done, will make a big change to them and also to the end users. So it's kind of a win-win, and hopefully the work that we've done and if that gets taken forward and adopted wholesale, then it will really help to ease the burden on those departments. Okay, any other questions? Anyone else want to raise a hand or pop anything into the chat, or just pass any comment on the work that we've done? Feedback is always gratefully received. I think I've left that long enough to be slightly awkward. Okay then. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I we can give you all some time back, but please do reach out if there is anything. Obviously, the email addresses are in the chat. Sign up to receive more information, or just get in touch with anybody at CDPS. I'm sure they'll be able to put you in touch with us, and yeah, we'd love to hear from you and get you involved in all the future phases of work that we'll be continuing this year. Thank you very much. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks all.
Thank you.